And buonasera a tutti. Good evening, y'all. What's the scoop? Episode 122 is back here with my co-host Brandon, as he is still in Florida for, I believe, one final day, uh,
Mm-hmm.
one full day left, and then y'all will start driving back on Saturday. God have mercy on your souls. I don't know how that happened, but
Yeah.
um, I assume you're not the one driving.
No, my grandfather is. And the thing is, the only reason why we're doing that is because we have the dogs, and the dogs just we've never tried to fly with them, but when you have two Chihuahuas, you don't want to make noise, you don't want to upset any passengers. So we just they drove down with the dogs, so we're gonna drive back up together with them on Saturday. So
I
I wish the
respect that. I
Yeah, I
respect
yeah,
that
respect
so
that
much.
too. I wish the woman with three babies on the flight that I just took down to Jackson made that same decision.
Oh,
But
okay. Can I add something really quick? I completely forgot to talk about this the other day, and it's a flight related thing, and you just
oh,
reminded me. Are
what's
we
up?
okay? Did you guys see what TSA posted on their Twitter earlier this week?
I don't follow TSA on X. No.
Okay, they're fantastic on X. They're
I saw
probably the
something.
best.
Yeah,
They're probably the best government follow out of everybody.
Okay.
So some idiot, just I'm just gonna say it is some idiot. I could go more aggressive, but I'm not. Um, Decided to cut part of a fire hydrant, like the top half of the fire hydrant,
I
and he
didn't
put.
know you could do that.
I don't know either. I thought it was the whole thing, but then I double checked and it wasn't. So he put the fire hydrant on the conveyor belt. And he got upset with the TSA agents in there because he was trying to take part of a fire hydrant on a plane for some damn reason. And he's whoever this person is. I'm not trying to genderify. I don't know if it's a man or a woman or whoever. I apologize. But actually, I don't apologize. This person's stupid. Anyway,
There
he
we go.
he said this person, he or she said to the TSA agent, a fire hydrant is not disallowed on your website, so I thought I could take it. That's literally what this guy said, is that the fire hydrant wasn't listed on the websites of things you can't take. So he cut part of a fire hydrant and put it on the belt and thought it was fine because it wasn't on the website.
The former law student in me loves this, but the human in me thinks this is
Okay,
absurd
wait. So why do you like it as a former fire hydrant? By the
because
way,
it's like
Brandon, obviously me, Robert here.
because it just
Sorry, just had to get this through.
it just reminds me of when I was younger, and my father will say that he knew that I would go to law school when I was very young. I was like 6 years old, I think, and I was trying to measure myself as a 6 year old kid. I was trying to just like measure my height, and I'll try and make this a 30-second story.
No, you're fine.
And I did it on the sort of like door jam part of the guest bedroom
Oh,
wall,
yikes.
and I wrote the numbers 1 to 40 or whatever it was, and my mom comes in and goes, "Don't you can't do that. Your father just painted that wall. You can't write on that." So I went to another wall and started doing it again. And my father goes, "I heard your mother just tell you not to write on the wall." And I said, and I stand by this almost 20 years later, she said to not write on the wall that my father painted. That wall had not been painted. So, as somebody who thinks that way, I have to acknowledge that there is a part of me that appreciates the whole. It doesn't say you can't bring that on the plane.
On the website. And it reminds me so much of. So I was traveling. I've told this story a million times. I'm sure I've told it on this show. I'm sure I've told it on Football After Hours and any other previous employer that we've had. I I always remember every time TSA posts something like that. There was that whole ranch craze, and you had to take the mini bottles of ranch. So
I
yeah,
don't remember that at all.
okay. So basically, Europeans didn't know what ranch was. They don't have ranch
well,
over there.
yeah, during this World
And,
Cup, yeah.
and
They
people
don't
were
have
like,
ranch. They don't have ranch in Europe,
no,
though.
it's an American condiment, dude. It's
Okay,
literally
you know
American.
what? Knowing what ranch is, that makes sense. But for some reason, I didn't think it.
Yeah,
Anyway, go on.
so Hidden Valley Ranch made like these small packets that you could take, which is awesome. So they turned into a great marketing thing. But it reminds me of when I was the Canadian TSA, whatever it's called. I should know what it's called for this story, but I don't. I remember going back to Seattle from the Toronto International Airport. Toronto is a beautiful city. I love it there. But I remember looking to my left and seeing this guy take a chainsaw, and he put a chainsaw on the conveyor belt, like a whole ass chainsaw, full-size chainsaw on the conveyor belt, and he got stopped as we were going through the line. And it's like one of my favorite things ever because it's just like, what the hell? Brandon, do you have any weird airport stories or stuff that
I
has happened
mean,
to you in an airport?
I mean, it was to actually come down here. We, I got, I technically because I was a kid at the time, we got stopped because of my stuffed animal. Because with older stuffed animals, not so much now, but older stuffed animals have beads in it. So,
Yes.
basically, they stopped us because of the beads in the bunny that I had. I still have him, but he's my I got him when I was my first Easter, I think it was. I got him, so I've had him ever since. I keep him in my room, but I got stopped for that. We got stopped for that maybe about I don't know how many years ago that was. That was a long time ago. And then about I want to say a little less than 10 years ago, my grandparents got stopped because we were trying to bring a food item back from the Cracker Barrel down here, and the problem was that
You're drinking the cup right now. Hell yeah.
it exceeded.
I'm pointing to this. I'm drinking Lion coffee right now.
I think it exceeded like how big it was supposed to be.
The weight piece of it.
It was
yeah.
it was a pecan log, and so basically like they're like you can't bring that on the plane. They're like why? This is just food. Like they're like oh but
Yeah,
it
no,
exceeds like
food's a problem. Yeah, food's a problem.
yeah they're
Drink's
like
a
oh yeah
problem.
it exceeds like if it exceeds a certain limit obviously you can't. So what it did it was a little bit too big so we had to throw it out. And we were like are you serious? Like we just brought this back. So it's just like I find a lot of things with TSA are just so stupid that I'm just like if the best thing to do with TSA is if you can do it before you go somewhere, just like if you know where you're going, try to either ship your stuff down to wherever you're going, or before you go to like the whole goal is to go through TSA as quick as possible. So like for me going down to Florida when I came down here this time to stay down here with my grandparents, like they're like, oh, what do you want us to bring down on our drive? That way, it'll be here when you get here, and you don't have to bring anything down to from the airport.
Right.
Then go to the airport. So I'm like, everybody else, I'm walking through and seeing everybody at the terminal and through TSA, like having like 4 or 5 bags of crap that they don't need, bringing it to wherever they're going to, and then here's me with just my friggin' travel bag, short travel bag, and that's it. I'm just walking straight through TSA, no problem. I'm like, yeah, because it's the lighter you travel, the better. You don't need a ton of stuff to travel.
Especially if you're doing like Canada or the US. I've never found it efficient to travel with a bunch of crap. If I'm doing like Europe, that's obviously different because that's like 2 or 3 weeks. That's very different, but whatever. World Cup picks. William is asking. So we were gonna just do the third place match just for kicks. I don't know how to even approach this because they don't even want to play in it, and I'm not gonna watch it either. But
yeah.
France, England. I guess I'll go 1-0 France. I don't care.
I don't think either team really cares. I could literally see it being like I'm just gonna say something stupid. I'll be like, oh, I'll say like 2-1 France after extra time or something. Like,
bro, if they play ET, holy shit, they're gonna get angry.
Oh yeah.
if you Spain, Argentina, I will go ET, but I'll go Spain wins in extra time. I'll go 3-2.
Oh,
I'm gonna take Argentina in extra time.
What's your score, Scoop, for that one? What do you take?
2-1.
2-1. All right. Brandon, what do you have?
You were reading my mind, Rob, but I think remind me, what is our updated standings?
Okay, wait, we didn't get so I got 2 points for getting 1 point for each one. You also got you're up 92-84. It's over. You won.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do. You killed me in the group, like late in the group stage. I got absolutely fricked.
Yeah. Well, it was that one set of games. I forget what day it was where I got like every score right.
I think it was like one of the last Sundays of the group stage or something.
Yeah.
I think it was the end of group stage 2 on that Sunday. or like
Yeah.
around group stage 2 on that Sunday. That was terrible.
I mean, for me, you kind of read my mind with the score prediction, so I'm like, damn, I don't want to double up on it. You know what? I'll also say 3-2 Spain, but I'll say in regulation, not extra time.
The third place game is Saturday 5 Eastern on Fox. I wouldn't recommend it. Third place games at the World Cup or any major tournament they're just rough watches. They're not fun. Unless you're like broadcasting them, they are not fun. Okay, before you guys go to your baseball stuff, so Conor McGregor, Max Holloway, we did our predictions. None of us got it right. Brandon and I, because we did the bonus prediction. Okay, so number one, I think the biggest reflection I have, and I know Brandon, you had the same reflection, was I don't understand why Conor even came back for this. It seemed like his attitude was so different. And I kind of get the sense now, after a week now or a few days after the fight, that the focus wasn't there, the mentality wasn't. It was just so different, right? The whole press tour felt different. We were just trying to go back to 2016, and they're both different athletes than they were then.
Yeah.
And it's just, and so that's kind of the one biggest thing, and then we'll go into more in depth about what's happening now 3 days after, or 4 days after now.
Yeah. You know what? It's. I saw people even saying, right after the fight when they were giving like instant, post-fight analysis, they even said that just McGregor just entering the arena looked like he couldn't be bothered. Like,
the body language was terrible. It was so
it was almost just like he was somewhere else. Like he wasn't mentally there. And they said, especially just him walking out, it looked like he was kind of going through the motions. Like it just didn't look like like a Conor McGregor fight would. And then we get that shocking start to the fight where he just goes to throw a kick. I don't know why you would just try to run and throw a kick immediately at right at the start of the fight, but because they kept saying that he was working on it for months trying to do that.
His team said that was the entire plan, was to run up and basically do a super kick to start the fight. I'm like, no, I've never seen any MMA gym tell a guy to start a fight like that or have a game. No, it's a weird idea. I don't know if it was to kick him into gear or what, but I was like,
I don't know.
We're doing it. We're doing a WWE basically style super kick for no reason.
I don't get it. I really don't understand what the game plan was going into the fight. I mean, if that's basically what your corner is trying, like, and Conor's a smarter fighter than that. Like, I don't understand why, like, he would even go along with this idea that he would try to catch, Max off guard by going for something like that to start a fight. Max Holloway is a smarter fighter than that. Max Holloway is a pretty damn good, great fighter. He's been around for quite a while. Like this isn't like Conor McGregor against like the 52nd ranked fighter in the division or something crazy. Like it's literally going against a guy he fought before.
Right.
Like I just don't understand why he felt the need to do that. And then when it failed and when he clearly something was wrong, he has to throw another kick. I'm like, why did you do any more damage at that point trying to throw another kick when the first one folded you in half? And so it's I don't get. I mean, for everybody that was excited for that, it's a letdown because just you don't.
Oh yeah.
But I also kind of knew going. This is also why I wasn't as excited for this fight as everybody else was, because I'm like, it's like Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement. I'm like, what are you gonna get at this point out of him? You're not gonna get the Conor McGregor that was whooping everyone's ass, 10 years ago. You're gonna get literally an older, way 5 years out of the sport, late 30s Conor McGregor, who clearly is only his ventures ever since leaving the sport have all been just business ventures, not anything even related to the sport. So,
Yeah.
like, I mean,
Alcohol, whatever. I mean, it's
yeah, like that's why I don't understand. Is like it just feels like it almost feels like he did this the same way Mike Tyson did it, like just for a payday, and that was it.
I felt I remember talking to you when the Ariel Hawani interview when he was on Ariel's show about 3 weeks ago. He's sitting there. He's talking about bare knuckle. I think bare knuckle is going to Fox or Fox Nation, I believe, because
I
that's
heard
about.
something like that. Yeah,
I think it's Fox Nation, not Fox proper. But regardless, he's talking about that. He's talking about how he's like a new man and all this stuff. And Roadhouse reboot.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I didn't watch it.
Bad, Patrick. It was bad. I heard it was really bad. But
Why did that make me think of Texas Roadhouse?
Oh God,
because it was better than that movie. Basically, I and he's saying how he's a changed man and all this stuff, and it's like, and I was like, okay, Connor, like, it was a 40-minute interview, and he just said nothing, which again, I love Ariel doing interviews because he's always trying to get something out of somebody. He was trying to get Connor to be like, all right, what's your contract? And he said that his second fight's like early 27, which at this point it will be, depending on all the injury stuff. But that surprised me that it was a 2-fight deal, and we're going, January, February 27. And so he said that was like the only significant thing he said. He said like, oh, I'm a changed man. I found God, all this stuff. And it was just like, and he kept kind of repeating the same thing. And I was like, and I think at that moment, you and I both should have said to ourselves, and I don't think we did at the time, he's just not really in it.
yeah.
Like from that interview, we should have been like, I don't know if he's really in this. And thinking about it now, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, after that Floyd fight, and I feel the same way about Floyd, honestly, as well, considering also the mess Floyd's been in the last, I don't know 10 years, decades since that fight's wild. Because what was that fight? 2017 or whatever?
Something like that.
Yeah, 2017, 2018. I don't even remember. But after that fight was over, both of their careers were done.
Yeah.
There was no, because when you get to a point as a fighter and you go, I hit the mountaintop, I made the most money possible, the biggest pay-per-view number, because we were still in the pay-per-view era at that moment. It's like, why go back? What's the point? You're good. You've made all the money you could make. And the
thing is, you can only go down from there. So it's like,
yes, and that's what we saw from both of them. And I also just feel, and I feel this way about with Dustin Poirier with his incident last month. It's like some of these guys fighting is their life, and they don't know what to do outside of it, regardless of how much money they make. But I think Connor is like past that. Like I really, and I get it. People were excited for this. I was definitely excited. I heard the rest of the card was really good. Obviously, you're watching the Argentina game for most of it. So I missed it before because Argentina scored their last goal against Switzerland right as the fight was about to start. So I switched over right after Argentina hit the goal. But it's like, and now Connor goes out yesterday and he says the bet should be rescinded and the fight should be a no contest. I'm like, dude,
I saw that.
You threw a kick. You can't, like, I'm sorry, that's not how this sport works. A no contest is for like drug test failures.
Yeah.
Like John Jones had that for years. It's like you threw a kick. If he says, if the ref says go and you're throwing a kick, that means the fight's on.
Basically, a doctor stoppage is not a no contest.
It's a doctor stoppage. And
Yeah.
it wasn't even a doctor stoppage. The ref just stopped it because Max was like, look, he's hurt. I don't want to hurt him more. Respect to Max for that. But it's like, for him to feel so salty and say no contest, how do you think Max and his team feels? How do you think we feel spending, getting Paramount Plus subscriptions, which I'm sure most people did, for this fight, and then on top of it, the gate being as big as it is, and you just want to call it a no contest? No, dude, that's how this thing works.
I understand, like Max said a couple times after the fight that he wants to run this back, but I'm like, why?
Why?
Connor's not going to care.
What? Who cares? Yeah. Who cares?
Connor's head and heart are not going to be in it. Like, I
His
like I listen.
Connor,
You know, I'm
Connor,
like,
excuse me. I gotta say this really quick to help your point. Connor's last 3 MMA bouts in the UFC were all him getting injured in
yeah,
some way or another.
yeah,
Does that tell you anything? It tells me karma for him because of all the crap he's done, awful
yeah,
stuff he's done. But also, it tells me that there's no reason he should be in the octagon. Period.
yeah. It's like, I mean, I even told you that before this fight. Like I said, he lost his last 2 fights, was injured in his last 2 fights. Like there was no, and now he's been away for 5 years. He's been doing a lot of hard living the last 5 years. On top of that, like what made anybody think that this fight was going to be anything special just because it's a name? It's like I get that it's a name, but like you have to understand. Like, yeah, we were all hyped to see Mike Tyson back in a boxing ring for the first time in years, but it's like it's it's 60-something-year-old Mike Tyson. It's not
Yeah.
30-year-old Mike Tyson. There's a big difference. So like it was the same thing like when this just thinking of boxing, you know, yeah, Floyd, once he got to the mountaintop, after everything after that was just cherry on top. But like everybody makes fun of the whole thing when Manny Pacquiao like found God and became a less aggressive boxer because he didn't need like he just kind of didn't.
That's what it felt like with Connor this whole run up.
Yeah,
Because that's all he
like
was talking about.
it's like you can even just see in the way like even Connor just doesn't. You can see not just in his eyes, but just the eyes, the body language, the just it didn't look like ripped. And it's not going to look like ripped, hungry, aggressive Conor McGregor anymore. It's going to
The
be.
era's over. He's
It's
made that
over.
money. It's over.
Yeah, like it's like I would be shocked if he does go through with the next fight and he actually not forget wins it, survives more than a round or two.
Yeah.
So like
it just upset me that you hyped this so much. And how do you think the UFC feels right now? They're in a bad place.
oh yeah.
Right? MMA as a whole is in a really bad place. And this fight and UFC Freedom 250, which honestly wasn't as much of a success for them as you might think if you look at the numbers. And it's just like, how do you think they feel? They promoted the crap out of this thing. And, I saw so many people who got Paramount Plus and watched this thing and they felt either it was rigged or they felt it was just pointless. Like I spent $12 for no reason. It's like, and how do you think that makes us feel with all of us mad at MMA right now for how it's promoting their product? It's like, and then you're coming out and saying no contest, or you're just saying, oh, we wasted everyone's time. Let's make it a no contest. Frick off, dude. Frick off. You threw a kick. This didn't work. This was probably the worst possible scenario for the UFC. And now, who knows how long we got to wait before we get another big fight in the UFC. It's going to be a while before we talk about the UFC again.
I mean, your next, somewhat big fight is going to be whenever Justin Gaethje defends the belt again. Like,
probably
because
just from a casual perspective, how many people are going to watch, some random UFC card in the middle of the next 2 months? Probably not. Probably not.
Especially not with baseball heating up, getting towards the postseason, and not with the NFL coming back around again, hockey, basketball. Like, no, it's not gonna happen. Like,
Max is fighting like it was the Hawaiians. No wonder, Patrick. That's hey, pride of Hawaii, right? But yeah,
I feel really bad for Max in this because he's telling the ref, like, hey, he can't even stand up. Like Max looks at the ref several times, like, hey, I don't want to hit him anymore because he's clearly not going to fight.
That's what I was thinking, Mr. Wiltsey. Like that, I don't know a ton about fighting, but I know enough that's pretty much where my brain was at.
Yeah,
well,
no, and I think and Scoop, that's exactly I think how everyone feels, right? Especially if you're a casual fan. It's just like,
yeah, I'm the definition of a casual fan. This is soccer. I'm the definition of a casual fan.
I remember, right, back in high school, like late high school, early college, being such a fan of the UFC, and now I just can't be bothered. You talked about high
school with this stuff. Did I ever tell you guys what the first fight I ever watched was?
Was it? I thought you said it was McGregor Pacquiao.
Mayweather
Like,
Pacquiao.
or Mayweather Pacquiao, the first one.
That was the first one I ever watched.
That's atrocious, man.
In
That's
May of, I'm pretty sure it was May of either 2015 or 2017.
I think it was
something like that.
I promised myself then I would never watch another fight in my life.
Yeah, because that's bad, man.
Yeah.
It's bad. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, there are good cards, like all over the place. There's good UFC cards. There's good boxing cards. Their PFL's growing a bit.
If you was it last year?
There's
If you
slot tables in Vegas too. I'm not going to go waste my time with them either.
if you to me, what was a good main event? Well, even though I called it kind of before anybody else did, was Terrence Crawford against Canelo Alvarez. That main event because Bud's older than Canelo, but Canelo had more miles on him in the ring. But Canelo gave him a few, Canelo hung in there for as long as he could, but Bud was giving it to him. Like, that was actually a decent fight. Like, that was a fight last year that I watched. I believe it was last year at this point. I don't know how long ago it was. But that fight, I wanted like a Bud Crawford. The Bud Crawford's probably my favorite fighter across any combat sport right now. So, I mean, he's going to retire. I think he's thinking about retirement. I'm not sure. But he's probably my favorite fighter.
Speaking of boxing, Tyson Fury's fighting another random guy again as a tune-up for Joshua. Like I think it's this weekend or next weekend. What can we just get to the Fury Joshua fight?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Why do they need tune-up? Why does boxing need tune-up fights? What for?
Yeah.
What if he loses?
Also, question. Fury Joshua fight, is that the fight that was being advertised at the end of the one that you had me watch a few months ago?
I mean, dude, they've been advertising that fight for what feels like 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay, then never mind, because I'm pretty sure they
were advertising it.
No, but I'm pretty sure they just challenged the fight like at the end of the one that we watched, so it wasn't.
Oh yeah, no, that is true, but also Netflix is promoting the crap out of it, and the deal's not even signed. Like, they were promoting it during the Home Run Derby. I'm like, guys, the deal's not even signed yet.
Yeah.
What? You're promoting a fight that, like, we're gonna get it in September or October, but like, what the hell?
If you want, this is what I tell people when they try to get into combat sports. Don't watch current combat sports. Go back and watch stuff from like 20-ish years ago, 15, 20 years ago, when you had guys like GSP, Forrest Griffin, late stage Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell. Like, those are the guys.
The NBA too.
Yeah, I always you have to go back probably to the era when we were little kids to kind of understand why we love the sports that we do and how we got into those sports. Right. Because there's just in the modern scene for these sports in the modern era, there's just not a lot to like for these combat sports. There's just not.
It's not. It's not. Also, your guy Shakur Stevenson signing with Dana for Zuffa was a surprise.
It's interesting.
I don't. It feels like Dana just offered him the most money and he just went for it.
Yeah,
I don't understand. Like, so he's still gonna be like in the top of the division, but Dana's just an extra promoter that they got to worry about. It's
like when it comes to boxing, there's 3 guys I'll follow right now, and it's Bud Crawford, even though he's probably going to retire soon. Shakur Stevenson, because he's a Jersey guy. And the thing is, he's talented, but he also is a little cocky. And I don't like that. Like, to me, he should be better than what he even is, even though he's really good.
I'll add in Amanda Serrano because she's the best in the women's division.
Yeah.
They just announced that card's going to be on TikTok, which is insane. I will watch it, but it's only going to be on TikTok, which I think is a very interesting decision for Jake Paul and the MVP group, but whatever.
I mean anything to tap into another medium that hasn't quite fully been recognized yet. So it kind of makes sense, I guess, to push things forward. But
that is Friday, August 21st.
That's okay. That's a little ways away. That's about a month. But I think that what was it? There was another fighter I had in mind. Oh, And in terms of boxer, if any, I mean, I watched them a lot on ESPN, especially when they were showing a lot of Top Rank. 'Cause for some reason, I feel like Top Rank hasn't been shown a lot in the last year or
No,
so.
I think they're in limbo with their deals or something. Well,
Yeah,
actually, a lot of it's TNT now because of the
yeah.
fight thing, but that's a
Like
whole
like that.
nother.
Like I loved it when they were on TV because I would watch a lot of Vasily Lomachenko because
Right. Yes.
he's a great fighter himself. So like there's a few guys I like. But I mean, Lomachenko was fighting a lot of guys that weren't great. I mean, he was
Yeah.
clearly the best in his division so he was just knocking guys out left and right. But I think that it's just, but it's hard because back in the day, you had a pick of so many different fighters in UFC and in boxing that it was like you couldn't go wrong with whoever you liked, or if you liked multiple guys, it was whatever. But like now, it's like the talent pool for combat sports is so just few and far between with guys who are really good that it's
Right.
like,
And it sucks because we're in an era where it's so accessible. Pay-per-view is
yeah,
done. You can pay-per-view is done. It's the most accessible combat sports has ever been, and it's probably the worst crop we've ever had. And
yeah, I would say
I know it's
so.
some famous guys, but the fights themselves are not interesting. Anyway, Scoop,
Yeah.
thanks for letting me yell about this for a little while because
Yeah.
Connor just saying we should make it a no contest. I was like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? Anyway,
I mean, I don't know. I don't follow the topic that we were just discussing all that closely. And when he said that, I was like, hey,
yeah, even you were like, what the hell? That
yeah,
was my reaction. I was like, come on, dude. Anyway, all right, enjoy some baseball. By the way, update 1-0, top of the sixth for the Mets against the Phillies. We haven't had
That's
much going on
gross.
here.
So
Yeah.
wait, so you're saying the Mets are ahead?
Mets are ahead 1-0. Yeah, they hit a homer, I think, in like the third.
Well,
So
one of my closest friends, she lives in Philly, but she's a Mets fan and she's at that game, so she'll be happy at least. Shout out to Amanda.
that's fun. That's fun. The one thing I'll kind of start you guys on is the biggest thing I get upset about when I watch baseball, like in the middle of the day on the Pacific time zone. I'm always like, why is there no one at the stadiums? I get so pissed off. It's like I know these games are at weird times and whatever, but like, come on, you can't
Well,
go
well,
to these games
keep in mind too that game's on the East Coast. People are still working.
at
Yeah,
6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, no, but think about this, okay? It's in the sixth inning, which means it
Yeah.
started closer to 4. You got to get there before the gates open. You got the people who
Yeah.
made the people who attended that game today. They either took a half day or they had to take the whole day off.
yeah.
We need to change baseball schedule. I'm so done with. I mean, today's an exception because obviously weather permitting. But if we don't have weather permitting, put these games on at night, not in the middle of damn day.
Well, here's the other thing too. Okay, so Mets Phillies. There weren't a ton of games happening. This isn't the first official day of the second half. That's tomorrow.
Right.
So
This is the only game on today, and that's why it's
right,
national TV.
right. Which is why it's national TV. And typically, now I agree with you in saying that in general the game should be later. I agree with that. In fact, the Yankees in the beginning of the season were starting games at 6:40. I didn't understand what the hell they were doing there. I'm used to 7:05 start times. Or I mean, I guess now 6:05 living where I live now. But
Yeah.
are you? Sorry. Usually when you do this, I feel like you're gonna say something, so I didn't know.
No. My bad. No. I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good.
But yeah, no. It's they do in general when they have what they consider sort of like a celebratory game or like a significant single game. They do typically air it earlier in the day. I do agree that I don't understand, especially if it's on a Thursday. Like if it's on a Saturday or it's on a Sunday or it's on a holiday, that's one thing.
I don't care what time is it if it's on a holiday, but it's like
Or on a weekend.
can't-
But
or a weekend, who cares? But it's just like middle of the week. Why do the Mariners have a game at like 1:10
yeah, but it's
p.m.?
but it's
Like, what
also
the hell's
I
going on
think
here?
I'm pretty sure this game was supposed to start later, and I think they moved it up at the last minute.
They moved it up an hour, but I'm not talking about weather permitting stuff. I'm talking let's take
You're,
weather
you're talking
out.
about you're talking about big picture.
Yeah, if weather's an issue, we'll obviously change them. Again, should this game have been played today? No,
Maybe
no,
not.
Yeah.
no, absolutely not. It's unhealthy air quality, and I'm just like, dude, we don't even have to play this, and we're doing it anyway, and the game's
That's
not
why.
even that
That's why I don't
interesting.
get why. Why would they even move up the start time like they did? Because if anything, when it comes to any kind of weather, no matter what, they push it back. So I'm like,
They
why was it?
could, and by the way, baseball has double headers.
Well,
Like, just double header this thing.
here's what I'm thinking, Brandon. On your point is, if you look at the progression of where the weather was going, was typically, obviously, that stuff moves in a specific pattern. The fires, I believe, were trending west to east, so I believe that they probably thought that the AQI was going to get worse, not better. So I think that's why they tried to
Yes.
move it up.
Yeah, but again, can't you just do a doubleheader now or like later in the year? I mean, there's no point to risk these guys playing on unhealthy air quality.
I agree with that. Now, and I'm sure they do, but do the Phillies and Mets play again this season? I'm sure they do because of how
I'm
many
sure
times.
they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
If they don't, I kind of get it, but it's like, oh.
yeah, but it's
I
just so.
want.
Go ahead.
I wonder is this because I know that when it comes to all the wildfire stuff, when we get all that air coming down from Canada and it comes down to us pretty hefty. I wonder how much that's going to affect the Dodgers Yankees series.
Was
Are you guys gonna start earlier tomorrow?
well is
Because
is that I genuinely don't remember. Is that series in New York or in LA?
It's
it's in
in New
it's in the
York. It's in
Bronx.
Bronx. Yeah,
Okay,
it's in
that's what I
Bronx
thought.
weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then there's a good chance we could be affected by that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
as of right now, because I have it on the bottom line, you're a 7:05 start tomorrow.
Right.
So I don't, or East Coast time, obviously. I don't know. But I imagine a lot of games are going to be affected this weekend. But I don't think any of the because your series is all national TV, except for us here on the West Coast because we get the Mariners game on Saturday on Fox instead of your game. But I don't think it matters for the networks anyway. And that's another thing. I could say, oh, is ESPN like upset that is that why this game is happening? And I don't think it matters that much for ESPN because they have a pretty limited contract anyway with Major League Baseball. So whatever. All right. Well, I'll get you guys started on that Dodgers Yankees series because I think everyone's excited for it for different reasons than we expected without Aaron Judge, and I think no
Yeah.
Shohei as well. So, but I still think it should be a fun series. So I'll let you guys go with that.
Okay. So yeah, Brandon, I'll just start off with this way.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? I'm considering this the biggest series the Yankees have played, not this season, but since they last played the Dodgers in the World Series in 2024.
Honestly, yeah,
That's how crucial this series feels to me.
I think so. I mean, because also given, because what last year was mostly just them chasing the Blue Jays and going back and forth and whatnot. Like, but that's your division. And the Blue Jays ended up being in the World Series. But I think that honestly, I mean, but this is bigger because this is the team that obviously we lost to in the World Series. This is a team that got even better the last 2 years since the last time we played them. This is really kind of, I mean, this is a real interesting. I mean, because you also got to realize too, the Yankees can't afford to lose. Like, if they get swept, God forbid, and the Rays, pick up some steam after kind of being a little crappy towards the end of towards the start of the All-Star break. If the Rays pick up any steam and the Yankees get swept in this series, the Yankees have a real bad uphill battle to climb the rest of the way through. So it's this is the series where the Yankees got to. I think the Dodgers don't have anything to lose if we somehow sweep them or take 2 out of 3. We have almost everything to lose if we lose 2 out of 3 or get swept. So this series, yeah, that's not crazy. I think I agree with you because
Also, sorry.
go ahead.
No, just going back to our previous topic, I can actually also say that, just going back to our previous topic real quick, this is the last time the Phillies and Mets will play in Philadelphia. They've got one more series, but it's an away series. So my guess is that to make sure that the numbers check out as to games played in each location, that seems to be the rationale there. Continue anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I look at this series, and we have the pitching advantage. We have, because all three starters are having better seasons for the Yankees on our side than what the Dodgers are putting out on their side. And I think that the only tough thing is that how is our pitching going to fare, obviously, against our 1 through 9? Because with or without Shohei, that is still a dominant, that is still a ridiculously hard 1 through 9 to get through.
Absolutely.
And I worry about the bullpen because once again, I know people want to use this as a green flag, if you will, for the bullpen, or a feather in the cap for the bullpen. And to try to defend the bullpen, they'll use the fact that the bullpen's ERA this year is the best in the major leagues. And I'm like, while ERA to me is still important,
that is the area. Sorry, that is the area in which I consider it the least helpful, is talking about bullpen ERA.
Because you know what it was though, was because I kept saying to people, I'm like, they're like, oh, well, we've got the best bullpen ERA in baseball. I'm like, yeah, because of three pitchers, Cruz, Bednar, and Hedrick. If you look at the rest of the bullpen, all their ERAs are above 4. So I'm like, you can't say we have a great bullpen when it's been 3 guys carrying the load the whole damn season with pretty much a great season, while the rest of them haven't been that good, or have been middling at best, inconsistent with it, what have you. So, I don't like when people kind of use it.
I do have to throw one more name on that list, Paul Blackburn.
Yeah, he actually has been good. And surprising, because coming into this year, I was like, he's only been just a mop-up guy. He was only been just he was never great, pretty much.
At times, I thought Blackburn stepped on Daisy or something. The way you
talk. Because I was just like, just coming into this year, I'm just like, I expect nothing out of him, because to me, he's just been a journeyman, never a great pitcher. I'm like, okay, it's just what it is what it is. He's just another bullpen arm. But this year so far, he's been getting a lot of the tough bouts, a lot of the dirty kind of innings where it's like, he's kind of entering that circle of trust. Whereas guys like, Doval and unfortunately right now, I mean, I don't think it's going to last forever, but Tim Hill right now is just on the outside of it.
Yeah, Tim Hill, Jake Bird,
yeah.
Doval.
You'll never get me to trust Doval and Jake Bird ever.
I can go either way right now on the guy that we got from Tampa, Yarbrough. I could go either way on Yarbrough right now. Like, Yarbrough on any given, he's the wild card for me right now, because on any given day I can get 2 innings out of him that I'm just super happy with. And then on any given day also, I could bring him in a high leverage situation and regret the hell out of it 5 minutes later.
It's like, last year he was so good, especially when we needed him for spot starts. He was so good, kind of.
And I kind of wonder if that's the problem. I kind of wonder if it's that he's so used to being a starter that I kind of wonder if maybe using him as a reliever is hurting him.
That's because I remember when they first brought him in as a Jesus, Rob. My God, I'm going to spam the matchup. But with Yarbrough, starting him in the bullpen this year, I was like, I don't know if I try. I mean, I understand why, because you have a whole bunch of starters that and especially this pitching rotation we thought would be healthy. So we were like, okay, when they're all healthy, there's no room for Yarbrough to kind of get these spot starts in. But I mean, and I understand kind of using him as that long reliever, but even using him as a long reliever, using him in that 5th, 6th inning is a lot different than using him in the 1st or 2nd inning. So it's just the mentality of a pitcher too. So I I like him as a spot starter. I don't like him as just a bullpen guy, just because every time we've kept him more in the bullpen, it just hasn't worked out. Meanwhile, when we've asked him like, hey, we need you to get we need you to be an opener and get us like 3-4 innings, he'll get it for you.
It's
So
ironic
like
that we're saying this. Meanwhile, he's the only guy with multiple saves other than Bednar today or this year.
that's insane to think about. Because you would figure that maybe a guy like Cruz would have some, but no, he hasn't had opportunities. He had what, 2 opportunities, something like that all year.
Well, Cruz, Blackburn, and Doval have 1 each, but Yarbrough has 2 somehow.
That's insane. I mean, all those. Well, you know why? Because he eats up a lot of innings, so it's probably one of those like 4,
like Goose Gossage type saves.
Yeah, like 3-4 inning saves or something like that. Yeah.
I can't stand him now.
Well, but like
he has become, not to tangentialize this, if that's even a word, but he has become the spitting image in baseball of old man yelling at the clouds.
Yeah.
Drives me freaking. He makes you look like tame. This guy, I have not heard a guy and he. Oh, and talk about somebody who thinks his shit don't stink. He basically said that Mariano would never be the greatest closer because he only did it for 1 inning.
I mean, did we forget a lot of times where Mo did have to get 2 innings, especially he did it. I think he did it in the World Series. Didn't he get 2 innings against the Diamondbacks? 2 or 3 innings against the Diamondbacks. Wasn't it the Aaron Boone game? Or it was either the Aaron Boone game or it was a game against the Diamondbacks.
So the Diamondbacks would have been 2001.
Yeah, it was one of those series. He literally came in and got, I think it was like 3 innings to keep them in it of like shutout baseball.
I'm pretty sure that was 2001.
It was one, I know it was one of those series, but
Yeah.
it was a postseason series, a big postseason series in Yankee history. And Mo delivered. Like, Mo is the kind of guy where you could bring him in for 2 or 3 innings. They just chose to bring him in for the final one because when they got there, of course, you're going to go to your best pitcher for the last inning to close a game. That's the whole role of a closer, to finish the final inning. So,
closer.
That's why I'm just like when Goose says, I mean, listen, Goose had his moments, and I understand that, and he's a Yankee legend and all this kind of stuff. But I just, why are you like, with friendly fire on your own franchise? Like, I don't.
Every franchise that for which I root, has one player in its history that just drives me up a freaking wall, and I'm like, I wish you didn't play for us. And unfortunately, Goose Gossage is that for the Yankees.
I was like, who is it for all the other ones?
It's Chris Paul for the Pelicans. I'm not a Chris Paul fan.
Really?
Yeah. I'm just not a Chris Paul fan at all. And there's myriad reasons for that. For the Eagles, this should be fairly obvious. It's I won't say Carson Wentz because I understand what he did for us and one thing or another, but it's obviously AJ Brown. And again, I'll fully acknowledge the recency bias there because yes, it does change every time a new play on our own team basically.
I would have said T.O., but T.O. we were barely alive for. So
we'll see. I mean, I know I could have probably put T.O., but here's the thing. I look at T.O. and McNabb, and I'm like, y'all both had issues.
They were both at fault.
Yeah. So it's like you could probably put T.O. and McNabb there, and it's like it's tough because McNabb was so good for us, but at the same time, you have to wonder, okay, if we had somebody else, do we actually win that game in 2005?
Yeah.
So, which I know we're so used to saying 2004, but the game technically happened in 2005. But
yeah.
And then Flyers, I'd have to think about. It's just to be totally honest, that's the one in terms of history on which I'm still probably learning more, even though I've followed them for 7 years or 6 years. I don't really have one that's like as strong. I think probably the obvious pick for me would be Hextall, just because it feels like this franchise has a weird loyalty to its former players that just they keep bringing them back in as coaches and executives and whatnot. I mean, we even did it with Talkit, and I'm just like, sometimes if you're struggling, it's okay to bring in new blood. You don't need not everybody that stays in your organization or that is hired in or whatever. It's, it's the whole thing why, when I talk about not wanting to hire guys like Don Mattingly with the Yankees, is it's just, and I honestly, and what I heard, I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody that they were afraid to hire, that they wanted to hire, but they were afraid to because they didn't want to sour the relationship with the with the fans if it went sideways. I don't think it was Mattingly, it was somebody else. But basically they were thinking about hiring somebody, but they decided against it because they're like, this is such an important guy in our legacy that we don't want to sour it if it goes sideways. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Jeter. It wasn't, I don't think. I want to say it was like a pitching guy. I want to say it was like Pettit or John Flaherty. I think it was John Flaherty. But because John Flaherty was up for manager when they hired Aaron Boone.
Yeah.
I know it's almost a decade later. I still have to wonder what would have happened if they offered the job to Raul Ibanez. I'm still on the train that believes that Raul Ibanez makes a good manager someday.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wildly took that down a rabbit hole. But
no, yeah. I was just curious on like who, because you were saying like how Goose is to the Yankees, like who is that part of the team? So it's like,
yeah, because there are and I talked about Chris Paul for a second. The Pelicans, to me, like one of the things that really brought me into the Pelicans was just such there's just such a good sort of vibe of that franchise. Like the fans that I've met, the people that I know, I got fortunately I spoke a couple weeks ago about having gotten a chance to speak to a former coach once and learn from him, get his book and whatnot. And there's just such great people associated with it. And then Chris Paul, I've seen too many times where he just doesn't carry himself similarly at times. And I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing him on the wrong days because everybody has bad days. But he just seems he just seems very stuck up compared to that. And again, maybe it's my own perception. Maybe other people have wildly different perceptions. Also, keep in mind, he was on the Phoenix Suns. He didn't have the Suns and the Pelicans didn't have the greatest blood at the time between the two.
Yeah.
But again, just my personal opinion as a fan. I'm sure there's a million out there of them. But he says Chris Paul is like top 5 all time, not maybe in his own mind. But
I think in terms of point guards, I mean, as I'm trying to think through my head, like as in terms of point guards,
CP3 or Westbrook? Here's my question.
Westbrook, because he did more.
And what just happened?
I mean, Jesus. I love Chris Paul though. I'm a Chris Paul apologist. I love CP3.
I mean, so do I.
I love his. My problem with Westbrook was the triple double stuff. It was a pointless stat. Remember that year in OKC where everyone was freaking out about him farming triple doubles all the time?
The thing is, I mean,
that bothered the hell out of me. I was
you also think it's like if he didn't, they weren't going to win a lot of those games. So it's like,
yes, that I understand, but it's like, and I always felt like in his career too. I felt like the New Orleans stuff. I loved him in OKC.
Well, see, like if you're doing peak for peak, if you're doing peak for peak, and you're thinking of like who was the more traditional, like what you think of as a point guard, it's Chris Paul. Like,
yeah,
it's like Westbrook is like the modern point guard where they're expected to do everything.
Right. I agree because Chris Paul was a passing first point guard. My thing with Russell Westbrook in his career is like Chris Paul. I still felt he should have been in the league, for that second half of the year, his last season, as another home run for the Mets. Jesus, 3 solos.
As there's another drive to deep left field.
Yeah, pretty much. But I look at like Chris Paul understood what he was as a player
Yeah.
towards the end of his career. Russell Westbrook, he's lucky he's on the Kings because they don't know their front from their back, and they're
Well,
idiots.
yeah.
Or was on the Kings, where they just let him start for like no
Yeah.
reason. Like Russell Westbrook is just how he plays. He's just unapologetic.
Was that one of the teams that was
unapologetically
accused of tanking, or was that just the Jazz?
Dude, big reason why the Kings started him a majority of the year, played Westbrook significant minutes, was because they wanted to lose.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's what I thought, but it's the
huge
only
thing,
one that's really fixed in my brain about it is the Jazz. That's why I wasn't
Because
sure.
you know what it is.
The Jazz actually have a future. Like if you look at what they have, I like what they have. If you've been watching them in summer league, which
If you go like
No,
if you-
I have not watched 1 minute of the friggin' summer league. I simulate the summer league when I play 2K.
Oh yeah, summer league and 2K. Well, the one guy here who's happy about the summer league is Brandon because he's the only all of his starters are playing in the summer league,
and they're playing so damn well.
They are playing well.
All your point guards.
Yeah, all our cards.
All my point guards are playing.
Yeah.
In the summer.
Well,
I
the thing
don't
is,
know.
like,
I'll always be a CP3. The New Orleans stuff, I was too young, but I loved him in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, like, and again, I'm not gonna.
His
was-
Clippers
he was
era was great.
I'll put it this way, and I'm gonna sound like freaking MJ talking about Isaiah Thomas here. I respect him as a player. I respect his talent. I'm not saying that I think that he's any sort of like, I'm not saying he's overrated or one thing or another.
Yeah.
There was just something about him that just rubbed me the wrong way as a player.
And that's
think-
fine.
yeah.
That's how I am with Russell Wilson.
And
I understand who he is. There's
Yeah.
something about him that always rubbed me the wrong way, or did after he left
Yeah.
Seattle, especially the last.
And I think some of it also came with the fact that I've outspokenly not been a fan of the NBA Players Association, and
That's amazing. That's
Chris
amazing.
Paul. Yeah.
and which is strongly tied with CP3. Now again, I respect a ton of the fact that they are easily the most player heavy.
Yeah. And I see where you're coming from because it is so player heavy. It's hurt the league.
Yes, that's where I'm coming from.
And I think that's fair. And CJ's kind of taken that baton the last few years as well. I've tried. I mean, retrospectively, I still wish CP had a ring. I think he's like the one guy where I'm like, damn, that Phoenix year.
I think he deserved a ring. I think
The
he
thing
ended
is,
up.
when you look at what they had in Lob City in LA, and it's like
I still don't understand what the point of that was.
like
The
it was
point
it
was
just
to
because
win a title, but that they
you had
defensively weren't very good.
the biggest problem with that team was you had a great point guard and you had 2 dominant bigs, but you had no shooters outside of them.
You had, minus, I guess, from memory, Crawford, who.
But even then, he was more of a sixth man.
Like a broken plane,
Yeah.
you had no wings.
So and again, my biggest Chris Paul regret was the Hornets at the time, because of everything that was going on with their ownership, the league nixing that Lakers deal. Because that's my big. If I look at Chris Paul's career as just a pure fan, him and Kobe would have been such a fun duo to watch.
Oh,
And we got robbed of that. And it doesn't. And his Clippers at time was still great, and I'm not saying it wasn't, but I feel very robbed of the fact that we never got to see that.
See, like that's
It also it makes me wild. It's wild to me and makes me a little crazy that trade didn't go through, but some of the other trades we've seen over the last 15 years did.
Yeah, and that's I still can't believe that. Yeah, it's just I'm trying to think of the best thing to say.
I'm sorry, Brandon. I don't mean to pick at
Brandon.
wounds or anything. I don't mean to pick at scabs or anything. But how the hell did 2 of your trades go through, and that Pelicans trade not or have that that Lakers trade not go through.
Well, here's the thing with Brandon's deals. Brandon's deals was more of the fact that his ownership were a bunch of idiots, and Jay-Z.
I say it all the time. Is that how I even even me as at the time being 13 years old for the first trade with the Celtics, and then again being like both trades happened before I was even out of my teenage years. I was like, what? I was 13 when the first one happened, and 19 or 20 when the second one happened. So, I think like 19, almost 20, so still 19. So like both of those disastrous trades in my franchise happened before I even turned 20. So like it's like I even said it back then as a kid, as a teenager. I'm like, these trades hurt us terribly, and here's 1,000 reasons why. And everybody's like, oh, you don't know what I'm talking about. Like, oh, what are you, some kid? I'm like, I'm a kid who knows more ball than you do. I have more thoughts about basketball. I've forgotten more basketball than you could ever dream of.
I encourage everyone, because the Luka trade is officially done with the Mavericks. I encourage everyone to look at what that final tally was, because it's single-handedly, it was bad at the time, and obviously Brandon and I remember we did our Pro Bowl show that hours after that deal, and we were flabbergasted like the rest of the world was. But now looking back at it, with it being completely finalized, there's no trade worse. Like even stock trading is better than what that was. And we've seen some bad stock trades in the past decade and a half. So yeah, the CP3 thing, I'm always gonna have love for his career. I'm always just gonna sit there and go, damn, I wish he had a ring.
Who because Patrick's bringing up like top 5 all time, but top 5 all time as like point guard. Like,
I would say point guard. I don't think he's top 5 all time in the NBA history. But as a point guard, you can't deny it.
I think he's a top 5 point guard. I don't think he's a top 5 guard in the NBA history. Like, combining power point and shooting guard. So I don't think so.
Like top 5 point guards, I would think. Now, again, this is me just riffing it. So if I say one that makes one of your ears bleed, I apologize.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking Magic. I'm thinking IT. I'm thinking.
I'm not a big Isaiah Thomas guy.
I'm not an Isaiah Thomas guy either, but I still think it. I'm thinking. Oh God, help me!
I can't think of it off the top of my. It's so hard. I'm
thinking John Stockton.
Yeah.
You've got to put Steph.
That he was going to be the fourth one I said. This is not in any particular order.
That's fine.
And I was going to say where
be my 5th.
Where do you put? Wait, who would you put as your 5th?
CP3.
Because it's like, to me, what's tough.
And then I think Westy could go either 6 or 7. Me.
Who? See, now here's what's tough is like when I think of point guard, because you can put him at 2 different positions. You can put him at point or shooting guard. He was great at both. Is Allen Iverson.
Yeah, I will say this also. My problem with the guard and forward and center kind of thing right now is the NBA as of
center also technically considered still part of the forward thing.
No, it's never been considered that. There's guys who can play like Anthony Davis is a center, but he refuses to play it. I don't know why. Even though I phrased that terribly, but isn't it considered like power forward and center? There are interchangeability there. That kind of goes into my point a little bit. We're at the era of the NBA where it's so positionless. Yeah, the entire now that the all NBAs are positionless, I could care less about a guy's particular position. The only time I ever care about it is fantasy.
I remember seeing Ben Simmons PG/PF.
He's a pretty good power forward.
I was gonna say, even if you look at our alignment this year, like Brooklyn's alignment, Demon last year played point guard because he was the only point guard basically on the roster that was any good.
Are you gonna play 3 guards? this year?
I mean,
If there's ever a time to do it, it's 2020.
I still think. I mean, the starting five to me is it's going to be MBJ running the point. It's going to be Demon at shooting guard. It's going to be MPJ at small forward. Power forwards Randall, and your center is Sharp. So,
Oh my
like,
god! Wait, yeah, that's it. That's weird though, because again, isn't Sharp smaller than Randall?
but he's a better. Basically, he's
He's the
a
better
fully
rim
better.
protector.
He's not a better rebounder. He's a better rim protector as a whole.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
That's the problem. Is that we like if the Nets really wanted to make noise in the East, they needed a real big. They don't have a big. We've got plenty of guards that are really good that can shoot and play defense because Demon and MBJ are killing it in the summer league right now. They're killing it, but
Yeah.
so they're fine. MPJ is fine. Randall is fine. We just don't really have a big. We don't because Sharp is like 6'9", no 6'10", I think. Like he's
Yeah, I
not.
think 6'10".
It's like you ideally want your big to be 7 foot. He's about 6'10".
Go get Taco Fall.
Oh God,
Where? Oh, Taco.
where is he?
Right.
Man?
I have no idea. That name just came to my mind for
I,
some
I,
reason.
I remember him in Maine, and then oh my God! Speaking of that, did you guys see Jonas Valanciunas is in Lithuania? He signed a deal with a Lithuanian club yesterday.
I always liked him. I thought he was always a good, solid player.
Because he was trying to
Yes.
go to Greece last year. I think he was
the-
always trying to
you
go
guys
back
see
to
the
Europe.
comments by Adam Silver basically telling LeBron to just hurry up and make your decision already?
He said today at Fanatics Fest, he said, I know, he basically insinuated, I know where I'm going. It's done. I just don't want to announce it yet.
I didn't answer my own question last night though, but I've been saying it since the middle of the season. I still believe it. I still think he's going back to Cleveland.
I'm gonna give you an answer because I think I know where he's going. I think I can kind of tell. I think it's the Sixers. I think
That'd be
that's
interesting.
I think that's the move. I think it's
Saquon's recruiting might actually have worked.
I honestly, because I sat around thinking about that question yesterday, and I was like,
It's the only team.
everything's pointing to Philly right now.
I kind of get it because it's the only team that like for example, people have said the Warriors don't think they're going to get him, which I understand. People have said they think he's going to stay on the East. Like it's been so like Cleveland versus Miami in like because people are saying like, oh, he'll go back to one of the other two places, and maybe he was like doing them a solid by like giving them a chance to like, oh, I want to meet with you guys one more time or one thing or another. But Philly has always been stuck around for.
Yeah, what I heard what I can pretty confidently say is the top three in no particular order are Philly, Cleveland, Miami.
Yeah, same here.
And it's been that way for about a month and a half.
You gotta think too, even for LeBron, if LeBron still wants to win, the best place to win out of those three is Philly because of what they have right now.
It's Philly because Miami doesn't have a bench. We've talked about they just don't, and they're not going to build one.
And you guys keep talking about, and I don't disagree with you. You guys keep talking about how Cleveland looks like they are more committed to James Harden right now.
Yeah,
which is the dumbest thing in the world.
It's dumb, but I also that's the one thing about Cleveland that gives me pause. It's like James Harden and LeBron James together on the same court sounds like hell. It sounds like hell for both of them.
Oh, it sounds like hell, but like it to me, I get that we keep hearing that it's about winning, but like Cleveland might be the one place I can think of that there would be factors that would pull him that may supersede that.
It's home.
I just like the one thing I like about the Cleveland fit is Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James. I think that's such a fun fit.
Yeah,
then
and Donovan Mitchell was recruiting him as recently as today.
Yeah, and also I think the Warriors knew they were out, and that's why they re-signed Kristaps.
Yes,
for better or for worse. With all of his medical issues. So I think that basically ended it. But I think this is why Harden, I don't think he signed the new extension yet. So maybe that's why they haven't. Like, free agency has slowed so much because everyone's just waiting for
It had,
LeBron
well,
to
and
sign
that's why I
somewhere.
brought up the Alvin.
Oh my God, the new Alvin and the Chipmunks thing.
As soon as I said Alvin, I knew that somebody was going to mention that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay.
I'm afraid.
Where
I mean,
where
I know what you're talking about, but still.
okay, okay, so finish up on the LeBron thing because I'm gonna pull up Alvin's
Well, I
new
was
look.
trying to make our way back over to baseball, but I guess I
Oh,
derailed that.
I will do that in a moment for you guys. What's his new look, bro? His new look is so freaky. He looks like he wants to murder you. It's fucking ridiculous.
I saw people in the comments saying things that he looks like, a F boy.
Yes.
I've seen,
Yeah.
yeah,
I just don't.
I've seen so many funny things, like people calling him funny things, like, oh yeah, he's about to drop the hardest R&B album of 2026. Like, I've seen like so many different things.
I just can't. Okay, so this is from Culture Crave. I cannot believe that they're rebooting this. Who decided yesterday to reboot this thing? I'm sure this was decided months in advance. Think about all the stuff that's happening in the movie industry, right? Think about The Odyssey is out today, and people are freaking out about that and all this stuff. And then they decide, oh yeah, we're gonna bring back Alvin and the Chipmunks as like this big announcement yesterday. And I'm like, what? Oh my God. Here's a cursed way to show this on stream.
Oh God, is this like the
Oh my God. Yeah.
You see how bad that looks?
He looks like he is going to start giving you a Drake impression.
Yeah, it's one of the weirdest things. This is from 07, by the way. So the graphic changes are great, but it seems a little over-defined.
It's over defined.
Comparatively.
They've almost given Alvin in 2026. They've given him a facelift. Like, this is like a facelift.
This looks like a 90s jacket. You
This
know,
is
like
this
those
is
90s jackets?
yeah. This is Alvin going to Hollywood.
Eminem would wear.
Yeah, this is very 1999.
I just can't believe, right? The movie industry has been booming like crazy this year. It's been very fun to follow, to talk about, but this yesterday, when I saw this yesterday in the middle of the day, thank you discussing film. Love those guys. Their Twitter page is amazing because their X page is fantastic. It just gives you all the news updates. And when I saw this, I was like, really? This is what you want to hang your hat on? This in 2027 film industry coming up next year, the rest of this year, we have the Doomsday trailer next week. This, really, what are we doing?
Like we finally we're finally getting a slow rollout for Batman, so that's good.
Oh my God, yeah, it looks great.
But I hate the fact that we're gonna have to wait 6 years for this movie. Like, oh my lord.
They took their sweet time with
I
it.
mean, I'll tell you what though, I am happy though that even though that it's delayed again, but the official date is on my birthday, 2028. So I'm glad, so I can go see it for my birthday. Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope. I'm positive, but I want to hear Doom next week. What does he sound like? I know what he looks like, but what does he sound like? Because apparently they mess with RDJ's voice, but I'm excited to see how that looks next week. Okay, what if you guys, let's skip the Yankees, okay? What trades would you most like to see that don't include the Yankees for the trade deadline? What would be like, oh, I want to see this 100%?
That's a fun question. Let me think. Brandon, do you have any off the rip? Because you can go first if you do.
I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm so focused on what we're doing that I haven't really.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
like my brain doesn't really put trades together in mind for the Cubs.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to think right now of like, well, I mean, we know the guys that a lot of teams will be interested in coming down the stretch. Obviously, like the Tariq Schools of the world. Um, I mean Hunter Goodman, because there's going to be teams that do need a hitting catcher. Um, you know, I think so. I think that
Ryan Jeffers. I think Hunter Goodman will probably go to whichever team tries to get Ryan Jeffers and fails.
yeah, even I just don't see it with Jeffers just because the injury history scares. Like I said, it scares me.
Right.
Plus the defense is not great.
No, but you said hitting catcher.
Yeah, I man, but I don't know, man. You know, I know like when it comes to certain teams, like I know we talked about like if the Nationals were to make a push, they need bullpen help. I mean, but the thing is, they never address their bullpen anyway, so it's like who cares? Um, I mean, I know we talked about the Mets making guys available, but it's really no one that anyone's going to really want, or really need. I think to make a push.
Or at least,
Um,
not anything that's going to really move a needle.
that's yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. So it's like I I don't know if I can really think of like a fit for a guy that isn't what we've talked about with the Yankees, because oh man, um, I mean it's I think I know that there's still a lot of teams that could still sell at the deadline, we're not hearing much about it now, but not just for the Yankees, but like the Orioles they're gonna probably sell off. I would think a few guys. They're just not where they need to be. Um, I think Diamondbacks could sell off. I mean, if they fall apart, in the next couple weeks, they could start thinking about selling. Um, I guess a couple weeks, it's just about the next week. Like if they fall behind in this wild card race, they can probably think about trying to sell. Cause like a name that always comes up for people is Ketel Marte because of just how good he is. But I don't know who I would really, like, because those are all names that a lot of teams would want, not just that I would want as a Yankee, but like that's like I don't know, like that's what I'm thinking. I don't know what the Cubs need right now, really. I don't know what Philly needs, really. Um, I don't keep like I know their roster, but I don't keep the closest eye on what they're doing 24/7. Um,
Can I throw one out there?
yeah, go ahead.
So I think the Mariners, since you're here, I'll mention them. And I said since you're here as Rob leaves, but um, but I think the Mariners one area position that they could use is right field. They could use a power hitting right fielder, I think. Um, and one team that I think could make one available as a veteran is the Red Sox with Wilyer Abreu. So
Yeah,
so
I could
one
see
fit,
it.
so one fit that and also they tend to like guys who can play different positions. Wilyer Abreu is somebody who has capability not only at right field, but he's demonstrated the ability throughout his career to be moved around a little bit. I think it was left field. He played a couple of games last year, so if they need to kind of cycle guys in, they're able to do that. I thought he had played in the infield at one point, but I'm not seeing any record of that. But
Yeah,
so I think that that could be a match to watch as well. Relationships at the deadline often are very important. So I think that one thing, depending on what each team decides to do, Boston and Arizona, that could be a team or a pairing that matches up. I don't think that they move off of a guy like Corbin Carroll, but if they decide to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say Boston and Arizona. I meant Seattle and Arizona. So if they decide to move off, I don't think they'll do it off of Corbin Carroll, but a Max Kepler is somebody who could go over there. And obviously, Seattle is always a guy who could use a team that could use more power bats. Kepler is definitely that somebody who can hit and play right field. So those are a couple guys that are a couple of potential moves that I would think if you're asking not about the Yankees. Trevor's in the house. Trevor, how you doing? Good to see you. It was funny. I went to sign in earlier, and the name that was normally the name that was last used was Kenny K, but it was yours. So apparently you were on here at some point. It says Rockies aren't going to look to trade Goodman unless they get a home back. I'm not surprised by that, and I agree with you. Rockies wise, they will look to probably move one of their outfielders, Jake McCarthy, Mickey Moniak, who finally has come into his own after a decade ago being drafted #1 overall by the Phillies.
What do you think? Because I'm just thinking about this right now. I'm just looking up a couple of names that I'm thinking of, like that could go to different teams. Thinking of middle infield, where do guys like Jeremy Pena and Luis Ariz go?
So Luis Ariz, I'm getting him if I need just a guy who puts bat to ball. I'm not a huge fan of his defense at this time of his career.
I think he's playing. He's been better defensively this year. I think, right?
He's been better, but I'm still looking at him as a defense first guy. Rather a bat first guy. Let's try that. Yeah. He smells Tampa Bay to me.
I was thinking about that. 'Cause I was like, if Tampa's looking to add to stay in front in the AL, they need middle infield. I think
they need middle infield. They need middle infield offensively in particular.
Yeah.
He is exactly the type of contact first, high average bat that they, step on themselves for. I think that he makes a lot of sense. Who was the other guy about whom you asked?
Jeremy Pena.
Jeremy Pena, so shortstop from Houston. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I think the team that makes the most sense for him is the Yankees. I really do.
Because I've heard his name floating around in talks for the Yankees, but also for other teams too.
Because here's the thing. Listen to these other teams that need shortstop help. I mean, he could also make sense for Tampa, but here's the other. Listen to the other guys that need shortstop help. Boston, expected to be a seller. Maybe not recently with what happened, but I still expect them to ultimately either stand pat or be sellers. Minnesota, well, nice try. Tampa, I already just mentioned. Pardon me. Giants, I don't think would make that move. Seattle, can't see that. That seems like a move that I just don't see happening in division. I am not the hater of in-division moves that others are, but I still don't see that happening in division. Braves, they're not going to do it. They like what they have at the middle infield, even though they've struggled this year. Rockies, they've got Tovar, and I expect them to sell. Pirates, just can't see it with their current roster construction. To me, the Yankees are the one that makes the most sense in terms of if Pena gets moved. I don't think it's likely that he does, but I think that, honestly, I do think we're the best fit. The other team that I would throw out there, and there is a bit of a history between these teams when it comes to dealing, I think also the Milwaukee Brewers make sense for him.
I could see it. Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering, because I was like, I'm trying to think of names that have been thrown out, especially based on our needs, even though it wouldn't be directly a trade with us. Mm-hmm. I was just thinking about, who needs middle infield, and then of course I was thinking about, hey, Luis Ariz is out there, Jeremy Pena is out there. Like,
yeah, I don't think the Yankees would go for Luis Ariz. I think that they've had the chance in the past. I think that they were going to if, excuse me. I don't think that I think that if they were going to quote a song that hasn't been released yet by Morgan Wallen, if it was going to be, it would have been by now. I think that Luis Ariz would be a Yankee now if they wanted him. Because for a guy who is so solid bat to ball, and this should tell people what, in this day and age, you can disagree with it, but in this day and age, if pure contact and high average was enough in this day and age, in this era of baseball, then teams would be stepping on themselves to get Luis Ariz, and they're just not. The market for him is not what some people think it is.
Yeah, people are just, because even just casual fans, like, everybody's in love with offense and how good of a hitter you are, but it's like, even so,
it's like, I don't want to see you hitting. I don't want to see you, hitting 210 with a 230 OBP, and I don't want you selling out, for contact and, having the power of, D. Strange Gordon.
It's yeah, but I mean, even though he had one of the greatest moments in baseball history,
Yeah,
but
I regret that I used him because the one homer I remember of him was
yeah,
one of my favorite moments as a baseball fan.
yeah. So I just but I think when you have, I think just any look at Juan Soto for the Mets. Is he having a great year offensively? Yes, but he's absolutely horrific defensively.
The fact that he is not somebody who's being made available is astonishing to me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. If you truly want to acknowledge we're not where we should be, then that means you make everybody available. It doesn't mean
yeah.
it doesn't mean you trade everybody per se. But to say we're not even going to listen on Juan Soto is astonishing and malpractice to me.
I wonder if it's just because of the fact that the contract is ridiculous.
But that doesn't mean you don't listen to on him.
Yeah.
That means there's a difference between listening and there's no feelers because the contract is prohibitive, and not even giving teams a chance.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get that.
There's always the Dodgers existed in 2012 when the Red Sox wanted to just basically load dump all their money.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Yeah. I really wonder just what I don't buy into, like you were saying before, I don't buy into the hype around Luis Ariz and his market. I don't because the thing is that we keep hearing about that. It feels like the last 3 or 4 years about his market. Everybody wants him, he wants him, but not many teams want him. So I don't really think that there's a market for that. And besides, like we're saying, great bat, but not great glove. Same thing. It's like that is weird. I think with the Mets is like, I wonder if. I also wonder too if in Steve Cohen's mind, or in Stern's mind, if it's just the fact that they don't want to admit, they already have egg on their face from saying that this all didn't work out, but they don't want to also by listening to Juan Soto, they don't want to have the public perception to be like, oh, we messed up this bad, and even with this deal, that
Do
it's
they
like
really have egg on their face though? Because I'd much rather see an owner just admit, you know what, it didn't happen. I'd much rather have that than double and triple down on being wrong.
Yeah, well, but pride is a very strong thing, So it's like I often wonder. To me, there's some inkling of that. It feels like with the Mets too. It's not just the maybe the unwillingness to listen to an offer, or whatever the case may be. But I think there's also just a little bit of pride there on Steve Cohen's part to be like, hey, we're gonna ride this out because hey, he's an all-star. He's got the numbers offensively, but it's like, yeah, but it's like, but it does. That's why going back to that whole, Yankees Mets, who was going to be the highest bidder. It was like, like there are still some people in our fan base that just can't get over that he's not a Yankee. And I'm like, do you realize that we are way better off without him than we are with him?
Yeah, and here's the other thing about that. Three things can be true. One, obviously, the obvious being that he's not a Yankee. One, the Yankees are better off without him. Two, they do not get to where they did in 2024 without him and him specifically.
Yeah.
Three, you can acknowledge what Juan Soto did, not hate the guy, and still think that all these things can happen simultaneously. I have no hatred toward Juan Soto. I root against him because he plays for
Crosstown.
Not just because he plays crosstown, because he plays for not the Yankees. I said it a couple weeks ago on this show. I am rooting against you if you are not a Yankee. Plain and simple. There are some players that I like that are on other teams. There are some players that I think are good people or that I admire the way that they play. I am rooting against you if you are not a Yankee. That is plain and simple. And I think people play too much into it with regard to the whole, does he the whole does he or does he not regret becoming a Yankee is something that I really think has gotten way too Kardashian on social media. I think that he is, and Trevor makes a remarkably good point that I wish I had made, which is it's just hard to see teams training. Fantastic point and extremely true. Very much agree with that. That's an awesome point by Trevor. But I also think that there's just, but if you ask me straight up, do I think that Juan Soto right now, if he would go back and sign with the Yankees? Yeah, I do. That being said, doesn't matter. He's with the Mets. Good luck to you. Whatever. It's thanks for 2024, basically. Now that being said, 3 years from now, 2029, he has an opt-out. Do I think he could come back? He's only going to be 30. Would I pursue him? If his numbers continue like they have for most of his career, I don't think that that's off the table by now by any stretch, nor should it be.
Yeah.
Mr. Wiltsey, have a good night. And one more time, guys, HawaiiCoffeeCompany.com. Don't get too much blood in your coffee stream. There is a great cup of coffee right here, the size of my head, and it is filled with the chocolate macadamia light roast from Lion Coffee. And apparently I'm getting more tomorrow of the dark roast that I had before, as well as something new that I haven't tried, which is I'm trying to remember. It was either vanilla macadamia or it was something else. I don't quite remember. But I'm getting something else tomorrow, and it feels like Christmas in the summer, to be honest. I'm really excited for this stuff. But you asked about middle infield. We ended up talking about the Yankees. Can I use this to parlay into my rant about what happened this week?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so for those who inhabit the surface that relies beneath something that is either igneous, sedimentary, or metamorphic, suffice it to say, for those who live under a rock, the stuff that happened earlier this week, the Yankees longtime shortstop Derek Jeter obviously came out and said the following, essentially, and I don't have the exact video here that I can show, but essentially came out and said the following, that that the Yankees are very committed to Anthony Volpe, that all of these things that we already knew, basically, and it later came out and became the talking point from that he or that Volpe never reached out to him, or that he's never met Anthony Volpe. Here's my rant on that. Why is it Anthony Volpe's job to reach out to Derek Jeter? If I'm a 24-year-old who's struggling, my first thought is not to go and try and talk to one of the greatest players of all time. That is on Derek Jeter's. The onus is on him for that, to reach out as the older player, the veteran player, reach out and offer help. Can you imagine the bad publicity if we had found out that Volpe had reached, which not for anything, I love Jeter. I'm grateful for what he did for 20 years as the captain. He's one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen. Not sure that I think that he's got the answers to playing shortstop defensively that Volpe needs right now. Just going to say. But that is on Jeter to reach out and offer help to Anthony Volpe as a veteran and as a legend. That is not on Anthony Volpe to go say, hey, Aaron Boone, or hey, Booney, or whatever they call him. Hey, you got Derek Jeter's number over there? Like the media would have had a circus.
It's like you got
it goes back to when Jackson Frazier allegedly asked for Mickey Mantle's number 7.
You know what it is like, when you're a struggling player, you can ask for help, but within the building, within the organization currently, Derek Jeter is not in the organization. He is outside of it. So it's like, usually when a legend outside the organization sees that a player within the organization is struggling, that person reaches out to the younger player.
Yes.
Not the other. Like, if Derek Jeter was in the front office or whatever it is, or a coach or whatever, then him and Volpe would be there one-on-one all the time. But Derek Jeter is literally in broadcasting now. He is nowhere near the team now. Like,
No, by
so
his own
it's like
choice, which is fine.
so
But then,
it's like if Derek sees that, then
why
Derek
is
should
he
be the
not
one
reaching
reaching
out?
out. Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
like, and this is one reason why when people say, "Oh, Judge isn't the captain that Jeter was," I think I think there are different ways of being a captain.
Yeah.
Judge seems to be a lot more attached to the younger players and involved with the younger players than Jeter was. I'm just going to say it. He seems to have a more hands-on role. Jeter was a little more standoffish, lead by example type, which is fine. Judge seems to be a little more, hands-on approach and, involved approach. And people can say, well, which one's got more rings? Clearly, one more better than the other. They're just different. Okay, I'm not going to argue about results because there are way too many factors that I could sit here and I'd be talking until our next show next week. But when I heard when I heard what Jeter said, that already bugged me out. But then when I heard the reactions to what Jeter said, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I know we all love Derek Jeter, but he anybody should be able to be questioned. And in this
Yeah.
case, I'm questioning Derek Jeter because I don't understand why, excuse me, it's on a struggling rookie. If this kid is struggling, like I imagine because he's struggling productionally at times, or production wise at times. I don't know if he's just struggling physically. I don't know if he's struggling mentally. I imagine there's probably elements of that at times because you're in New York and you're not living up to expectations. Admittedly, expectations that should never have been set for him in the first place, not because he didn't deserve to, have high praise or to have high expectations, but because of the nature of which it was, astronomically put on him, as they tend to do with guys like not just him, but Dominguez and Davy Garcia, who I remember getting comps to Pedro Martinez. But so you have all these elements of this, right? But so if I'm a 24-year-old kid, which I was just a year ago, if I'm a 24-year-old kid and if I'm struggling, my first thought is not get the phone number of one of the all-time greats and see if he'll talk to me. That's not my thought. If he reaches out to me, I'm dang sure not turning it down. But that was not the onus under which this conversation was, or on which the conversation was brought. That was not the manner in which this was discussed. And if this guy doesn't even have the confidence to go out there and play shortstop on a daily basis, I don't think he's going to have the balls to go and say, "Hey, get me number two's number."
I don't get, I think it's also a double edged, not double edged sword, but this is kind of it kind of goes. There's a second factor to this too, is that I know a lot of fans, which is short for fanatic, will love, obviously, like we're saying, love what Derek said and all that stuff, and agree with Derek and whatnot. And it's also because a lot of those fans have just entrenched themselves in the camp of we hate Anthony Volpe, so everything is his fault. So it's like,
really. The sun doesn't come up in the morning in time, and they're going to blame him.
Like, I'm not an Anthony Volpe guy either. I've made that very clear. But I'm also not going to sit here and blame him for every little thing that goes wrong with this team. Like, it seems like after every loss, the one guy shouldering a lot of the blame is him, and not a lot of the things that lead up to his at bats or the mistakes he might make. So it's like, I often think about just this is what I said on last week. I said that I feel bad for him in a way because it's like when you are, especially when you've grown up the way he did, growing up obviously in New Jersey, Yankee fan, Derek Jeter fan, wanting to play for the Yankees your whole life, and it's not going the way you're hoping, and it seems like it's just getting kind of worse by the year at this point, or really worse by the month. But everything new that just keeps seemingly coming out, every so often. I feel bad for the weight that he has to bear, a lot. It's like I'm somebody where it's like, I don't like him just because it's just like, okay, on the field play, I just don't like him. But I don't like there's people who are so obsessed with not liking him that like they find fault in him not calling Derek Jeter at 3 o'clock in the morning to ask him for help. Like it's like well, I'm exaggerating, but it's almost like it's not too far of a stretch.
No,
So
it's
like
not.
it's like I don't understand
Like when
why
you say that the
people.
Onion and the News should not look that similar.
Yeah, like and that's honestly what that's becoming with a lot of this stuff that's swirling around. You know, really Anthony Volpe. I was just in the middle infield as a whole, but with Jazz is all of his stupidity and shortcomings. But I I think that
I've been liking more of what I'm seeing from him recently, so I hope that maintains.
yeah, I wonder if something. Yeah, I've liked it too. I hope it continues because like every time I see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel from him, it goes back to being him who he is. So it's like I but I think with this Anthony Volpe thing, it's not Anthony Volpe to reach out to someone who's not in the organization, no matter who they are. Like that's like saying that any of the Giants hitters who are struggling right now should reach out to Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is not involved with the team. It's like
And Barry
you know,
Bonds was at least a hitting coach, albeit for Miami, but still he
yeah,
was a hitting coach.
like a lot of people have the idea that and listen, like we're saying, we all love Derek Jeter. There's not a bad thing to say about him. He leads by example. He's not a hands-on leader, but he leads by example. That's who he was. But also the Yankees also surrounded him with guys throughout the years that were that was who they were. Also, they followed and they knew their role and
Yeah.
they kind of
Well, it's
worked. They
also he struck gold with the core four and really the Fab Five because I think we all agree that Bernie Williams should be part of that conversation.
yeah.
Like you struck gold once in a lifetime with that. That ain't coming around every 20 years.
No,
It just ain't, and the fan base can't accept that.
like a lot of people don't realize that it's like as time goes on, things change with franchises, and because a lot of
The
people,
league,
you know, a lot,
December didn't have the salary, the luxury tax to deal with.
yeah, like a lot of people just seem to forget that just because the Yankees are the Yankees, that it's like they have to go out and sign 10 big name players and fill their roster with all these stars in order to win. It's like that worked, and it's like you gotta realize that those things worked, especially for the '09 team, and it worked. And Steinbrenner was always finding ways, back in the day to do that. But it's also because it was a different era. It was a different time. You had more range to do that, more liberty to do that, and it was the win at all cost mentality. But in today's game, it's just not played that way. And that's not how it can be played. So, I mean, because a perfect example, we just said it last night. Look at what Steve Cohen did in going balls to the wall, reckless, spending money. Him and Stearns making these decisions together pretty much. And look at how bad the Mets have bottomed out. Look at that. So, like, I don't like Yankees fans who seem to be stuck in 1998, like where it's like I like we were in a whole new millennium now. Get with the times. Where we're over a quarter century into the new millennium. Things have a lot has changed since those years. So I just don't like the fact that it's like people are seeming like, and listen, I could dogpile on Anthony Volpe's play for one reason or another, till the cows come home. I don't care for his play, but I'm not going to sit here and find fault for him just because the captain is saying, oh, he didn't reach out to me. I don't know why. I'm like, it's like, no, it's not his job to reach out to you. It's your job to offer help as somebody who's an outsider looking. Because how many times do we hear even these analysts who are former players say, like oh, if he wants my help, or no, like I see that he's struggling, I can give him a couple pointers. Like there's guys who've said that on like broadcast when they've seen a guy going through a slump for about a couple weeks, whatever it is. They're like, oh, I see things wrong with his swing, whatever, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I talked to this kid last week, and I gave him some pointers, and it's like now like in the over the course of last week he's batting 330 with a 9 something OPS and playing way better ball. It's like But it's like that's what a veteran does who's outside the organization, who has seen it before. It's not up to the kid. It's not up to like I never heard a guy say, "Oh, like a veteran, Bonds or A-Rod or Big Poppy or anybody say, oh yeah, I see this guy struggling. Oh, say, oh, by the way, he reached out to me yesterday, and we're going to go over some things." Like they don't say that. It's them reaching out to the player, not the player reaching out to them. So it's weird that Jeter kind of just want to fly. Jeter kind of has flipped where it's like, oh, he didn't reach out to me. It's like it's not his job, Jeet. It's not his job. Like that's on you. It's like I know that. But the thing is also too, I also expect that reaction from Derek Jeter because he wasn't that hands-on type of leader. So I also expect that to be the. So it's like I'm a little bit surprised by it, but I'm also not because we know the kind of player that Jeter was. So it's a little weird, but but still he's no matter what, Jeter's still kind of in the wrong on this thing.
Yeah.
So
flip, but yeah, I don't know. I think that there's. I mean, again, like you said, we could go look at this and kind of look at it from all sort of icosahedral different angles, but well, before we wrap up, why don't we talk some hockey? Because there's something that I think I want to talk about as a fan of the team that it happened, and I want to get your take on it as a rival fan of or a fan of a rival team in the Metro. So it was long expected that it would happen to some degree, and it happened yesterday. It was announced that Trevor Zegras got a 4-year extension from the Flyers. 4 years at around I think it was 9.125 per year, coming in at a little over 38 million in total value. There was some discord as to whether or not people thought that it was a great value or about on the nose or one thing or another. I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of on the nose contract right now. I think it's going to look like a great value eventually because not only do I think his play is going to age well with the team, provided we don't do one thing in particular, which I'm going to get into in a second. This is where I'm going to break into take a page out of your guy Sonny Maida's playbook with some of the numbers I'm going to bring up in a second here. But the fact that just with the way that contracts are going to age, I saw I think his last name is pronounced Took or Took. Recently got a contract for more money and averaging less on a point per game average. This
are
past
you talking about Alex Tuck?
Tuck, thank you.
Yeah.
And averaging less on a point per game average this past year than did Trevor Zegras. So, but also looking at this, here's the thing. It's a known fact that the Flyers have struggled at the center position over the last couple of years. And I did some breakdowns. There's a thing called, if you remember Moneyball, I'm not even kidding, there's a site called Money Puck that I dug into a little bit earlier today. I dug into a couple websites. That was one of them. To look at the kind of the different line play from different arrangements, different line combinations that the Flyers used this year. Can we stop putting Dvorak at the center position, please? Because literally each of our worst lines this year on the top 6 that had him at center were among our worst combinations in terms of expected goals and expected goal averages. You start putting combinations together, like the top combination, according to this, that I was able to pull together, and I only did ones that included Zegras in some capacity that had him as one of the 3 players. It was Mishkov, Zegras, and Tippett on the right side, and that was in 25 games. And then you had different combinations that had Zegras on the left. You had Cates at center. You put Konechny on the right-hand side, or put Tippett on the right-hand side. So there's different configurations that work to varying degrees, which, speaking of Konechny, had been and still was the Flyers point leader for 6 years running, and only had like a little breath up his ass this past year from Zegras for the first time for anybody in half a decade. So that was nice to see. That was another thing, and to say nothing of we talked about the, everyone's talked about the power plays and all of that, but I'm not saying that I want to see him consistently at center. I'm just saying that I hope this ends the time that we see Dvorak as a top 6 center on this team, because it literally inversely correlates with this team's success on the ice. And I hope that that's one of myriad fallout that we see from this. Go ahead, because I know this is probably the most I've ever talked about hockey stats on this show. But go ahead.
Well, see, I like Zegras, staying in a place where, he had a career year in points. That's always, important. And I think, he's somebody where he's only 24 years old. And it's like, I look at Trevor Zegras, and I look at him also through the lens of, of his relationship with Jack Hughes. And, because they've been best friends for so long,
Right.
growing up through the U.S. hockey system together and all that stuff. So it's, I think, like Trevor Zegras is one of those guys where I look at him like a Jack Hughes kind of type, where it's like he's your guy that can do a little bit of everything. And, I think that, the only knock on Zegras is that his defensive numbers, he's not really a two-way type of center. He's definitely more of your offensive-minded center. But I think that when it comes to him, you're going to get at least 65 points out if he's healthy, because health is a big thing here too.
Of course.
But when healthy, you're going to get at least, about 65 points out of him. You're going to get, and the thing is, he's not even in his prime yet, so you could end up having a season where he gets 70-plus points, which would be phenomenal, almost a point-per-game player. We know that he's incredibly skilled. We know that he's, he can play, he can really anchor a line with how skilled he is. So I just like it for you guys just to have some stability, because it just feels like in the last, 3-4-ish years, it feels like the Flyers kind of haven't understood kind of what they want to be, what their identity is. Not having, the kind of the right coach, I guess, in their eyes didn't help things. It was kind of just like the team was in a little bit of a limbo stage. And I feel like this is the first kind of, or one of the first steps to kind of bolstering what they should be and what they want to be. And I think that, I like Zegras. To me, I think, and I don't say this because he's a bad player. Saying that someone's overrated doesn't mean they're bad. But so when I say overrated, I'm gonna they act like as if Zegras is a player that's going to be a point per game guy or better. It's not kind of who he is. He does go through some cold stretches here and there, but I think that if you have guys surrounding him like a Konechny and a Owen Tippett and all those players, those are all guys that are I'd rather have a bunch of 60, 65 point guys on a line together playing together than a guy who's who can score 90 to 100 points while the guys on his wing are getting 45, 50.
Yeah.
So, I would rather, I'd rather kind of the wealth kind of get spread. And I think that Zegras is a guy where, he's one of those centers where it's like your center is supposed to be, like, for those who don't know hockey, your center is supposed to be your playmaker on your offense. So especially if you're a top 6 center, because when you're the third or fourth liner, it's a little bit different. But when you're a top 6 center, you are expected to be the guy, facilitating for your wingers. And Zegras is a guy where he can get you 40-plus assists a year. It's just can he be a 30-goal scorer if he gets more consistent? Yeah, but I think he's more of a. When I look at Trevor Zegras, I think he's more of a pass first center than he is kind of more of a can shoot at any time or can pass. It's because nobody is a Connor McDavid. That's just insane. But
No, I mean, the closest
but
this year was what, Kucherov?
probably like I I mean, I think about and even Connor McDavid's really a pass first center, but the thing is he scores 1,000 goals a year anyway. So like but the thing is when you have a center that, and honestly, yeah, probably. Well, Kucherov's more of a right winger, but I think that when you have a center like Trevor Zegras, who is still, just really entering the prime of his career now in the last year in Philly and now going forward, and I think if you can surround him with a bunch of 60 to 65 point guys who can all kind of get their moment to shine, they kind of take turns being that scorer, being that facilitator. It makes your offense a lot better. Just when you have consistency across, I always say this even when it comes to any sport. I'd rather have a lineup that's consistent across the board than a one that has like in baseball, having your first three hitters be power hitters, and then the rest, the 4 through 9, being guys that are okay. Like you have a lot of big name guys, top
No.
heavy guys, and then the bottom of your lineup doesn't do much.
That lineup sounds awful. I'd rather have. No, I'm still a believer. My best hitter second, contact hitter third, power hitter fourth, best hitter left fifth, and then 6 through 9 are my defense first guys.
Yeah, that's how it should be. That's how a good lineup is constructed. It's like, but it's the same thing with hockey. When you have a Trevor Zegras and Owen Tippett, a Konechny, like the only kind of problem I think I have with all those guys is I like consistency across the board, but one of those guys, I don't know if those are the guys that you can call on to take over. Like if one guy goes down, well,
Hang on, To for a second. Why? Rob keeps jumping in and out. I'm so confused. What's happening?
oh, I haven't seen him pop in. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
When you have a bunch of those 60-point guys, which is great, just as long as they're healthy. Like Zegras has been a little bit unhealthy in his career. If he's healthy and if you can get those 65-point guys basically right across the board there, then I think it's great. Did I hear Rob again? Did I hear Rob coming through your end?
Say again?
I thought I heard Rob coming through your end. I don't know.
Well, that's what the bizarre thing is, and that's why when I said, "Oh my God," probably about 45 seconds ago, I was so confused because literally the amount of times that his feed has jumped in and out in the last 60 seconds, like it is happening so many times.
Yeah, I haven't. Oh, he's probably gonna type in the chat because I haven't seen him. I just heard him come through your end just now. But Rob's
always having tech issues.
Okay. Yeah, but I think that overall for the Flyers, I think it's really good to bring him back for what was the game again? What was the
last thing you said?
What's the Zegras deal?
At 9.125.
I think that's fair because a lot of your better centers are going to get 11, 12.
That's why when I said I think that the deal will age well, because it's going to be kind of like when it's like in football when guys or when teams like get out ahead of the quarterback market, right? I think this is going to be very similar when it comes to Zegras, and that's why I think that if they, whether they use him as a center or as a wing, I think that which I would like to see him used as a center more consistently. But he says he's good now. Okay.
See, I like that. I like that idea of giving him a little bit, because look at what Nico Hischier got for us and the deal that he got for us, and some people are calling that an overpay. It's not an overpay when Nico Hischier is probably one of the top 3 two-way centers in the entire league.
That's the thing is like you can't just look at a contract for what it is now. You got to look at it for what it's going to be in 2 years.
Yeah,
I always reference. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, and when it comes to us, Nico's in the prime of his career, so Zegras is kind of entering his prime. Nico Hischier is in his prime. So compared to the guy in his prime that's going to stay in his prime for the length of a deal versus a guy entering his prime, it's like, and also with Nico Hischier being a two-way center, because Zegras isn't, but Nico being a two-way center, he's going to get more money because Nico's going to put up 70 points a year and give you great defense as a center, whereas Zegers is going to give you the 60, 65 points, but not have the defensive part of it. So it's like, he's going to get a little bit. It's also about the value, what the player is worth based on his play. So I think
it's all going to factor in the line chemistry, the age, the health, like it's all going to factor in.
And I think the 4-year deal is fine because a lot of these centers are getting these, about 4 or 5-year deals. So I think that, like Nico Hughes, I think was 5 years. So, I think that, I think it's a good deal for Philly. You get stability, you get consistency, and I mean, for any team, the two things you want on your roster is stability and consistency. But Zegras has the talent where I think if he stays healthy and if he plays, I don't think we've even seen his full potential yet. I think he's somebody where he can be not. I don't think he can. I know I said before, maybe a point per game guy. I don't know I would go that far, but probably like 70 points around there, I think is where I would put him. Like, I think that, if he does give you that, if he gives you his current, 60 or 65, as long as he's got good line mates, then I think that deal is worth it. If you don't give, if he doesn't have the line support with him, which is like also kind of what Nico Fisher went through last year and why his numbers looked a little bit worse than what they really were, it's, I just think that, like in any sport, it's a team sport. So it's like Seager's getting the deal at looking at this at face value. It's great for his skill level, for his talent, for his age, for the point total, all that kind of stuff is fine. It's just what are you going to surround him with? Is it I mean, are we going to sit here and still hopefully it's still the Tippett, Konechny's of the world? Like I would think so because those are your stars. So and if you do get that, I think it's fine. I think it's a really good deal. So I think as of right now, if that's what you're going to kind of go into the season with, I like the deal a lot. I think it's fine.
All right. And let's see. We just passed the 2-hour mark, as we more and increasingly often do on this show. I think the last thing I wanted to cover, we'll go back to baseball for a second because we talked trade deadline, but I just wanted to ask you this. I won't go round by round. I think that's excessive. But AL, NL, your World Series predictions entering the second half.
Ooh. I mean, I would love to sit here and say, I would love to sit here and say, like, I said a couple weeks ago, I said Yankees, Braves. I still, even though that the Dodgers are still fantastic, I just, every year I know the Brewers play well, but when they get to the postseason, they're just not a great postseason team.
No.
The Phillies are postseason chokers, so I don't know how much I believe in Philly until they really, get hot down the stretch here. If they get hot, I think as of right now, and this could change in 2 or 3 weeks, but I still think as of right now, I'm still going to say Yankees, Braves. I think I'm still going there.
That's fair. I got to be honest. Looking at what I've looked at, there was a great analysis that was also done earlier by The Athletic that looked at sort of the commonalities from different teams that have won over the past however many most recent years. But also, it made sense coming into this season. It still makes sense to me. And it just so happens that we're also getting this series this weekend. I do think it's going to be Dodgers-Yankees again. I think we're getting a Dodgers-Yankees rematch in 2026.
Are we getting the Philadelphia Eagles Kansas City Chiefs special where we get our revenge? Or
that'd be friggin' beautiful. I'll settle for just no game fives. And I don't mean not making it to a game 5. If you know, you know. Ball knowers know, as they say. But I just there's just too much. I'd love to believe in the Braves more, but it's just I need to see more juice from them than I've seen, and that doesn't mean I want to see them get on roids. But and again, it's very difficult to do this going into the trade deadline. I understand that, but I'm the one who suggested this, so I'm going to follow through on it. But there's just the depth of pitching. I think that these two teams are the only ones that can match each other's depth of pitching when healthy. I think that, I mean, I don't even need to talk about Ohtani. I mean, his game speaks for himself. He's the quietest superstar that I can find in any sport right now, which is just really good for baseball, I think. And Rob, are you bugging out again, or are you actually trying to be on?
He's probably bugging out.
Oh man. Anyway,
He says he's here. Okay.
He's here. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's what we were saying. I still think that the Yankees have the best pitching in the American League. I think the Yankees, when healthy, have among the best lineups in the American League. I won't say the best, but among the best lineups in the American League. I know that we've still got to get through Tampa, but I don't know. This season so far, there's not been the insurmountability that we've seen in past series. They look like maybe, hopefully, knock on wood, they've exercised their trop demons, or at least in the process of doing so. But I'll say this: can't sit on your hands at the deadline.
Yeah.
Need to get a catcher. Need to get some bullpen help. I need to get Judge back. I can't have 3 leaky gutters in the bullpen. I can't have one of y'all, Doval, Bird, or Hill. One of y'all got to figure y'all out, because that's too many guys that I can't trust.
Yeah.
And I'm iffy on Yarbrough to make it 3.5.
Yeah.
So we got to see that. I'm not as concerned about the team defense as some people were. I want to see it improve, and I want to see it be more consistent, but I'm not going out and thinking that, defense is going to be our undoing. That's not something about which I'm immensely concerned. I trust this team defensively. And I think that if you just go out there and literally basically do what you needed to do in 2024, which was don't make the big mistake. And unfortunately, they made every big mistake. But yeah, so I'm going to go Yankees Dodgers, and you're going to go Yankees Braves. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But all right. I think we covered everything. Did you have anything else that you wanted to jump on, or?
No, I mean, because honestly, there's no basketball really. There's no big stuff in football going on.
Can you sign a contract already, for the love of?
Yeah, I know. That's what kind of we're just waiting for, is like, what's going to happen with LeBron? That's just a big domino to fall, and then, but even then, it's like whatever move happens, we'll cover it for like 5 minutes when it happens, and that's really it. And then, so there's nothing going on in basketball, just summer league stuff. I mean, I'm obviously happy with what the Nets are doing, but so there's summer league stuff that's no one really cares. Knicks fans are going to celebrate their championship all the way through to the end of next season. So,
you think they're going to stop then? This team has won a championship in 53 years ago. We're still going to be hearing about this one 53 years from now.
Yeah, probably. So there's that. There's nothing really happening in football, obviously, because training camp is kind of just getting reignited because of the fact that we've had the World Cup. So nothing really going on. What? God, right?
I will say, Football After Hours is coming back in the next 2 weeks. We're doing division previews, so
thank you.
We're coming back, talking all the divisions.
I just realized something. We've been doing this whole time because Football After Hours. This was football the whole last several weeks.
Well, it would be called Football After Hours. It's football. So it's not the same. It's football,
But
So,
but I mean, you could have put the U with the little hash sign thingy.
I know. I still have to see if we can do a show on Sunday. I don't know what we're doing. because I kind of want to talk World Cup final if we can. But if not, we'll just do it on Wednesday. I'm not too pressed, honestly. So, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. My computer is just having a heart attack. So I don't know.
I'm waiting for the day that we can get back-to-back weeks with none of us having tech issues.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But
Because
yeah,
my computer spazzed out on me yesterday.
it's life, man. Technology. That's how it is.
Man. Yeah, the battery's supposed to be at 41,000 what is it? Net
Milliamp
watt,
hours.
something like that.
Yeah,
And-
milliamp.
And,
Oh my god, I
and
upgraded my
and it's
computer.
all of a sudden down to 31,000 after just a couple of months. It's not
That's
good.
bizarre. I took my old Surface from 2018 when I was in college, and I
Yeah.
put Windows 11 Insider Preview on it, and it's like so slow. It's kind of amazing. It's kind of amazing. I just did it for entertainment purposes to see how it worked. It's slow as all molasses. It's kind of amazing.
Oh, that reminds me. I got to go through and I got to do your thing.
What thing?
Your Chell thing.
Oh yeah. We can't talk about that, Scoop, because if we do, we're gonna get sued. So be careful. Can't talk about that on air.
Sorry.
So yeah. But we can talk about NHL 27. I'm happy Connected Franchise is back in the game. I'm happy about the new commentary and the new presentation, but it seems like every 5 years they change the presentation around and then people don't like it. So it's like, I don't know. I just want that game to be fun again. And I'll be honest, the last couple of years I have not had fun with the EA NHL games. I really haven't. So we'll see how 27 is. But yeah.
So it was Connected Franchise. It was. Sorry.
What happened there?
You just spazzed. We're all spazzing today. No. Connected Franchise was in like the Xbox 360.
But I thought it was when someone mentioned it earlier in a group chat. I thought it was about Madden, but it's about Shell. Okay.
Well, yeah, because Madden Connected Franchise is not a thing anymore. It's just called Franchise.
Well, I thought they were saying that it was being brought back from Madden, but it's being brought back for
NHL, because it was in the old. Remember how great the 360 NHL games were?
Yeah,
like I still play them. So good.
Yeah, I still play them.
They were so good. So I'm glad they brought that back, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely review it when it comes out. We'll talk about it when it's fully out in the fall at some point. But yeah,
sounds good.
All right, Scoop, lead us out.
All right. Well, again, thanks everyone for tuning in for another What's the Scoop episode 122. Next week's going to be 123. What a nice number. But I will see y'all on Wednesday first for No BS with BNS once again. And it's going to be on the 22nd at what are we thinking? Is it going to be back to probably the 10, 11 hours somewhere around there?
Something like that, because I'm at Wiffle Ball.
I'm back home.
Brandon's back home in Jersey. Okay. Yeah. So, all right, cool. So we'll follow that up, and then we'll follow up. Forthcoming soon will be updates for FA, obviously, and then Rob, that's obviously in your hands. So we'll be following your loop on that one.
Yep.
And until then, enjoy the rest of the World Cup. We'll see if the greatest basketball player in NBA history has made a decision by then. Yes, I deliberately said it that way to get people who are watching this fired up. But we'll see what happens. But until then, we'll see you next week. Same Scoop time, same Scoop channel. Brandon, Rob, and Scoop out. Have a good night, y'all.